is it. It's like Friday, but it's Monday. For some people, it might feel that way if today's your last work day for a little bit before the holidays, or maybe it's a Thursday for you. If tomorrow's your last work day for a little bit, tomorrow's Tuesday if you're listening to this right now on the podcast platform. For FT, tomorrow is the last live show of 2025. Last one. Last live show of 2025. Now, we will put out other content. We've been working hard on some other things we're working on. It might include movies. It also will include some moves we're expecting for 2026, being that many moves haven't happened yet. But look forward to that. You'll have plenty of shenanigans today. We have really good guests. I do want to make sure we get to the big moves. So let's hit it.
He's charging the mound.
Charging the mound, Todd Father, with a little Willson Contreras acquisition for the Boston Red Sox. Some fans might look and say, hey, wait, we have a first baseman named Tristan Casas. Now, he's coming off another big injury, and the season might start late for him. They do have a DH position that they can utilize for a number of people. They do have an extra outfielder still, which we can get into as well, but they can mix and match with that DH spot. But let's focus on what happened here. Willson Contreras has put up very good numbers, Todd Father, and in his first year at first base, he looked pretty good defensively. The Red Sox send Hunter Dobbins, a name people know from his rookie season, and he's the prize of the package, plus two other prospects for Mr. Contreras' services. Contreras also has, $41.5 million left in his deal, and the Red Sox are going to get $8 million of that covered. So they're paying $36.5 million over the next two seasons. It's 36.5 plus a buyout on a club option for 2028. So the Red Sox are paying all but $41.5 million of that deal. There's a no trade clause for Contreras. He waived it in order to go to Boston. What do you think of this move for the Red Sox, Todd Father? It doesn't cost them a ton of money, so you figure they still have some room left for Alex Bregman.
I couldn't hear you. Did you say Alex Bregman?
Alex Bregman. I mean, other teams are interested, but I'm just saying, maybe you can get Bregman before the Blue Jays or Diamondbacks or whoever else.
For sure. And I heard it's narrowed down to a couple teams, too, as we get into that. But Willson Contreras, you talked about him a lot, Scott. And I remember, we had that conversation about, man, he'd be a good fit on this team or that team. And I was like, okay. But this one seems right. The Red Sox, it seemed like what were they doing this offseason? What are they going to try and get? And how would they decipher who they need? They need other things, but, to solidify a guy like Willson Contreras, who's been playing for a while, a veteran player, a guy who switched positions to first base. Not the biggest target, but he's played well there. So I know Kratz can attest to this. If you're a catcher, you can most likely play any infield position. You might not be the quickest at it. You might not get to every ball, but you could field every single ball that comes to you. You'll knock it down one way or another and make the play. But again, this is a good spot for the Red Sox. I like this move. They got rid of a couple guys. Okay, so be it. But to get a guy that is well-known, who's been playing for a while and that can play and is going to love hitting with that green monster in left field, good start there for the Red Sox.
Todd, I caught. There's no chance I'm going to play any other position besides first base. You said any other infield position? That's why we get all of our ground balls out during BP.
Yes, that's why I said it.
Nobody sees the times you make errors. Nobody sees the below average footwork. The reason I think it really worked for Willson is because he is super athletic. Behind a dish, he always moved around really well. I think some of the things that lacked for him behind the dish were the things that are valued behind a dish. But his athleticism was never in question. He wanted to throw everywhere. He had a good arm. His receiving was below average. His game calling was suspect at times. But he's really made himself into a first baseman. And I'll credit whoever writer wants to credit whoever broke this, but Scotty Braun is the first one to break it that he's going to Boston. So it's a great fit. And it's another move by Breslow that says, and it's not just Breslow, but we're talking about the Red Sox right now, that says, yes, the amount of money per year is higher. You probably could have gotten like a Ryan O'Hearn. You probably could have gotten, I'm trying to think, another first baseman, on like a one-year deal, but it's essentially just getting Willson Contreras on a 2-year deal. And compared to his OPS plus combined, comparing it to Pete Alonso, they're neck and neck. And you're paying Pete Alonso for 5 years. So I think that's the part that Craig Breslow is really looking at it like, we like this. We're able to make the move. And so Chaim Bloom strikes again. Chaim's like, I built up this entire minor league system. I'm just going to take it all back from the Red Sox with the Gray trade, with the Contreras trade. Possibly, if the Red Sox don't get Bregman, could be a Nolan Arenado trade, could be revisited. So Chaim's just like, I built all these guys. I'm pillaging this entire minor league system.
That's good. That's a good way to look at it. It's true. I mean, St. Louis is in a rebuild right now. This is real. We didn't know if it was going to be happening, not this offseason, but a year ago. Remember, Kratz? A year ago. And Todd Father, a year ago, we were like, are they going to trade Sonny Gray? Well, no, he didn't want to go. Are they going to trade Willson Contreras? Well, no, he wasn't giving them permission, and he had a no trade clause. They wanted to trade Nolan Arenado, and they couldn't figure that out based on the no trade power that he had. Well, here we go. Now they're actually making their moves. And I think this is actually good news for St. Louis, Todd Father. If they had done this last year, it's not just under John Mozeliak. Chaim Bloom was working there, so he has some say. But now this is fully his onus, right? This is his responsibility. Hey, I'm making these deals. Let's see who pans out from this. We're not going to be able to look back and go, oh, those were still John Mozeliak trades. Like, no, the veterans that they're able to deal right now are returning guys that hopefully will be part of the next Cardinals playoff team, and they'll go through 1 or 2 years of pain to get there.
Yeah, and then you see these moves going on. Like you brought up a name like Nolan Arenado. Like, okay, wow, okay, guys are moving left and right. Does he want to be part of this rebuild? I would say no. I would say there's opportunities now for him to be like, hey, listen, I know I have places that I don't want to go. I have this, with the clauses and everything else, but if there's an opportunity for him to go elsewhere, I think he's going to take that opportunity and really think about what he wants to do. He's getting later in his career, and you want a championship. And I think that's the biggest thing. I think that's the next thing that will most likely go if there's an opportunity for him. And I think if the fit is there, even if it's not there, it might be an opportunity where, all right, I'm going to be spinning my wheels here instead of fighting to get to a championship, or at least in the playoffs.
Something that I always was impressed with, even as a young player, Willson Contreras, is his ability to hit to the field. Now, he's never going to be like this elite level hitter. He's never going to be a guy who wins a batting title, but he's okay getting his hits to right field when he needs them in situations where, hey, you're giving me a large gap between first and second, or he's okay, trying to take his shots. I'm very intrigued to see how many doubles Willson Contreras hits off the green monster, because he's not a all launch angle kind of guy. He's very good at spraying the ball all over the park, but he's good at doing it on different pitches. So I'll be interested to see. Like, pulling the ball is not a people, kind of get on Isaac Paredes because he pulls the ball all the time. Well, it's a superpower. If you can pull the ball correctly, and you can pull it correctly in Boston, now all of a sudden you're just clicking everything out front. You're able to slow down on breaking balls, pull them out front, and I think he has the ability. He's that level of a hitter that he can make adjustments when they're in Fenway, when they're starting to pitch him differently, and then he just takes his hits to right. And most likely, I think they'll get Bregman back, he's not going to be the focal point in this lineup. Unfortunately, if he is the focal point, I'm a little leery. I'm a little weary for this lineup, how it's constructed. But adding this right-handed bat in Willson Contreras and Bregman vaults them right up there with the Jays in the American League East.
Yeah, I mean, 123 OPS plus, 100 league average this past season. He's entering his age 34 season, so it'll be 34 and 35 for the 2 years. But even some of the other indicators that the front offices love, the quality of contact indicators and the peripheral numbers there, really strong. Bat speed, which we have nowadays, Todd Father, it doesn't matter if a player's paying attention to it or not, the front offices are. And he had great bat speed numbers. So some of those numbers look good and tell you, okay, he should still age nicely into his mid-30s for the next couple seasons. I think this is huge for Boston. Willson Contreras definitely can piss people off on the field. He makes for good entertainment for us sometimes, right? He gets into it with umps. He gets into it with other teams. I don't care. Can he hit? Can he play first base? Cool. Sign me up. And is he playing every day? Yes. And so for Boston, Casas maybe gets traded. If not, he can be part-time first base and DH. You can't wait for a guy. It's been a couple years. He hasn't been healthy. And if I'm Boston and my winning window's now, sign me up for Willson Contreras.
You said it best. It's time to win now. And I think that's the problem. And that's the opportunity that they're having. They got a couple good pitchers last year, as we saw. They made the playoffs, just couldn't get over the hump against the Yankees. This is another piece to the puzzle for the Red Sox to climb and get over that hump. So, yeah, I like it. Opportunity came. They found a way to get a guy over there. And if I'm Casas right now, I'm like, hey, man, I got to look myself in the mirror and I got to step up. I know you're injured. I know there's a guy coming in here taking your spot. Not saying you can't come back and be a good lethal hitter. You got to come up with what you believe in and look yourself in the mirror and find a way. But for the Red Sox, solid job.
I know. I'm going to say this, and I'll probably get roasted if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Tristan Casas has one more option. Coming off of an injury year where, I mean, it's a significant injury that he's recovering from. Get himself back on his feet. Get his legs back under him, and maybe adjust some of the things. His patient approach is great as long as he's only doing damage on pitches in the zone. And when you're not swinging at pitches on the perimeter of the zone, that's a good thing. But you can't miss the pitches that are middle, and that's maybe something that he can. It's tough to work on in AAA because he kind of dominated AAA before, but that option. Don't. If I'm a Red Sox fan, don't anticipate. Ooh, what can Tristan Casas get us? To me, I think that option, if he has it, which I'm pretty sure he does. I don't have my updated option list here, but that is a value because now Yoshida goes down. They have a rolling DH. He starts raking. His legs are under him. Maybe they can bring him up and still use him because Willson wants to play every day at first base.
Yeah, and Bob Nightingale tweeted over the weekend the Red Sox are now expected to end trade talks with the Diamondbacks for second baseman Ketel Marte. Okay, I mean, to me, that means you're very much banking on someone like Alex Bregman joining the fold. Because, you're not going to get both, right? They are going to have Trevor Story and Marcelo Meyer take up two of the infield spots. So now they have Contreras for another, and then it's Bregman, or you could pick up a second baseman and have Meyer play third, right? That's where Sox fans are still like, wait, we can find room for Ketel Marte if we can't sign Alex Bregman, or we can find room for Bo Bichette if we can't sign Alex Bregman. So just keep that in mind. Also on the return package for the Cardinals, I think some credit should go to the Red Sox organization for developing pitchers that they're turning into assets. You saw this, Kratz. So I'm going to butcher names, but Yoker Fajardo is 19 years old, and he signed for $400,000 out of Venezuela by the White Sox in 2024. The Red Sox traded him for Cam Boozer. Boozer was designated for assignment, so they basically traded him for someone that cost them almost nothing. White Sox had to eat the money, so they got like a free prospect that they include in this deal. Next up, Blake Aida, 6th-round pick out of Kennesaw State in 2024. Nowadays, 6th-round pick in the Major League Draft, even more than a crapshoot, right? To get a prospect that you're either able to develop into a valuable big leaguer or that you're able to flip in a trade is a massive success. So they have the success there. And then Dobbins, like you mentioned, is actually from the Chaim Bloom era. 2021, he was an 8th-round selection. So the Red Sox are making really valuable trade assets out of spots that you usually don't find them in.
That's huge. When people complain like, oh, we never get to pick at the top of the draft, like the Dodgers never get to pick at the top of the draft. Your minor league system creates so much value. Your big league team is boosted by your minor league system. I remember when I worked for the Red Sox, they gave us a bonus when the Red Sox made it. I forget where they ended up making it to. They won the wild card game against the Yankees. It was 21, but they truly believed in that time that anybody that was working in the minor league system was helping the big league team. I had nothing to do with the big league team. I never went to games. I never went to anything that year. But the way that Chaim Bloom, the way that BA, Brian Abraham, was running the minor league system was just an extension of the big leagues. The minor leagues are an extension of the big leagues. People are like, whoa, you made Marcelo Meyer, you made Anthony, all those guys. No, you helped those guys get better to reach their potential, to help the big league team. And if they're not quite there, you turn them into a Willson Contreras. You turn them into a Sonny Gray. And that's how good teams that want to win create value in the minor leagues. And you see some teams that don't do it, money or no money.
Yeah, you've the Cardinals on the other end of this filling their first base spot pretty easily. Alec Burleson gets full time over at first base. You get to give him a full season of run and see what it looks like. And just to finish on the Cardinals too, Todd Father, I think they might have trouble trading Nolan Arenado without eating up a good chunk of the money. First, you look at what he's valued at, because that's what teams will do. What does he get on the free agent market right now? Maybe a year, and does he get the league minimum, Kratz, or is it like $2-3 million bucks tops? Yeah, but it's not more than 5, based on number decline and projections. Yeah, on a big league deal. What's the number? $2 million bucks?
No, I think he would. I don't think he'd sign for less than $4 million. I could be completely wrong based on how much he's made, but he's in that realm because his defense has declined some. His defense last year still had value. His offense has declined. To me, he's in either the $4 to $5 million big league deal range, or like Todd experienced at the end of his career, the old non-roster invitee.
Yeah, but Anthony Rizzo felt that way, and then he just didn't sign. Arenado doesn't have to deal with that because he's under a contract.
Right.
My point is, it's difficult to trade someone like that when the industry looks at you that way. So it could just be a buyout, or it could be a deal where a team just picks up a couple $1 million and they pay off the rest. Those deals are pretty unconventional, right? Usually at that point, if it's that little money that's being picked up on a large deal remaining, they just cut the player. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. They're going to try to trade him, but I don't know how much success they're going to have trading him to a first division team in a spot that he wants to go to. Just throwing that out there. So anyway,
it's going to be tough.
You have one more point on the Red Sox.
We got to get going. One more on the Red Sox. You guys remember a guy named Christian Campbell? He started the season last year in the big leagues with the Red Sox, signed for $60 million. Guys, this is why it's okay if somebody takes a $60 million big league deal when they first get called up. A lot of people want to roast players for doing that. You're leaving money on the table. Some guys need a little bit more time to round out and become the players that they're going to be. It's okay if you take $60 million to buy up all your arbitration years and 1 or 2 of your free agent years. Like, they're already looking in the next year. It hasn't even been a full calendar year yet since he got that contract. And they're looking for somebody to play his position that's going to be locked up for more than 1 year. Doesn't mean his career's over. I'm just saying it's okay to take your money when they give you your money, Todd.
It's your money, baby. It's yours.
Yeah, he was kind of a late bloomer as it is, Christian Campbell. And then he was a 4th-round pick out of Georgia Tech. Developed quickly. But you can develop really quickly and then hit a roadblock. And it takes some time, right? It was all moving so fast until it wasn't for him. And Kratz is right. I mean, he might turn into a nice player, but even if he doesn't, this is why you can't criticize a guy for taking the bag, even if it's a position player. Yeah, he is set for life at 8 years, $60 million, and he might still be a very valuable player for the Red Sox, but they're not going to sit around and wait for it to happen either. It'll be a nice addition, bonus, whatever you want to call it, if he can really emerge this coming season and be a factor for a team. Injuries happen all the time. I'm sure if he's good, they'll figure it out. Red Sox are trying to build depth. All right, we'll be right back. Talk about the other Sox.
Show me the money.
Show me the money! Show me the money!
Munetaka Murakami was saying that for about a month and change while he was up for grabs. You got to pay a little posting fee. Well, it's a small posting fee for the Chicago White Sox. 2 years, $34 million. Murakami's going to be their first baseman. He's the home run champ over in Japan. Todd Father, some publications had him making well over $100 million. Tim Britton does the contract projections for The Athletic, and he's really good at it. I mean, there are some that he has gotten on the mark this year, the exact mark. This one, he had him pegged at $158 million over 8 years. Murakami ends up with 2 over 34. It sounded like he had longer term offers, but for much less average annual value. And he's 25 years old. So he's going, cool, 2 years, 17 a year. Let me go prove it. And then I can hit the free agent market still at a very young 27 years old. But initially it was looked at 158, something like that, because he's so damn young. The problem was in the free agent market, teams said, too much swing and miss. We have questions about your defense.
Yeah, it's so funny when you saw the White Sox getting like, what the heck are the White Sox doing right now? But yeah, I mean, listen, I like that he wants to go improve himself. I like that he's only doing a 2-year deal. It's a substantial amount of money, but again, yeah, way off on what a lot of people thought he was going to make. Yeah, you know what? Go ahead. Prove yourself, man. Go out there. He looks happy. He's excited. The guy's got some absolute tremendous pop. Kratz talked about it before. This guy can hit one to the moon and back. People worry about the swing and miss. I mean, everybody's worried about the swing and miss. Everybody swings and misses, at the end of the day. So let's see how his defense is. Let's see if he comes to America here and just absolutely hit nukes like he always does. I'm excited to see this guy play. Good pickup by the White Sox.
I mean, everybody's worried about swing and miss, and yet nobody's doing anything about it. Like, this is a prime – I'm not saying he should have gotten $100+ million, but this is a prime case of the industry being okay with demeaning the things that the industry's being okay with in general. They're okay with guys coming up that strike out a ton. They're not sitting there going, man, the Rangers, they put together good at-bats. No, they struck out. They swung and missed way too much. That's why they weren't good. And so it was a nice narrative for them to kind of squash a little bit of this guy's value. So I love that he only got a 2-year deal. I love that the 2-year deal is a nice yearly amount, because I went back and I looked at Seiya Suzuki's contract, and I've played against both of these guys. And I was so impressed with Seiya. Seiya's at-bats over in Japan when we played against him were very impressive. He got 15 a year. That gave him – I'm sorry. No, I did my math wrong. He got 17 a year. And this is exactly what Murakami gets. So I love the annual value here. And until somebody comes over directly from Japan as a hitter and is an immediate success, I have a hard time seeing that $100 million threshold getting broken right out of the gate. Seiya Suzuki was very, very disciplined coming over. He was a one walk to one strikeout kind of guy. He had power, not the elite power that you've seen. And it took Seiya a little bit to make that adjustment. I thought he should have been an all-star last year. I know he really cratered after the all-star break, but he's developed into a very, very good big league hitter, and it's taken a little bit of time. So maybe Murakami sees that and says, I have more power than this guy, and let's just say his strikeout rate stays the same. The biggest thing is going to be for the White Sox is how does he fit into this lineup to give them production and give them slug that they've been missing. Because if he actually had better numbers against lefties. Because if he can't hit a fastball, maybe a lefty slower fastball is easier for him. I'm not sure, but it will definitely be interesting. But it'll be a nice environment for him to not feel the pressure of the entire world on his shoulders to try to do well. But he's also still in a big city. Don't forget, Chicago, the White Sox, it's still a big city.
And he's been just on a tear out in Japan up until this past season. I mean, the numbers were still good while he was playing, but he actually missed a good chunk of the year hurt. He's young. It's not something chronic, but I mean, everything we're talking about is just another thing that a team gets concerned about and that can be used in contract negotiations. He played 56 games this past season. Elbow surgery, oblique injury, setback. Missed a lot of time. It's his platform.
He also had 1,000 OPS. He also had a better
50 games in a COVID amount of season. He's been great for years before that, but
all he could play.
Yeah,
he hit better against lefties and righties. Like, there's so many times that I can, like, you can say, oh, you know, he doesn't hit 93 plus well enough to do well in the big leagues. Okay, well then you don't want him. Like, you can create so many narratives to say why you don't want to sign Todd Frazier, why you don't want to sign Munetaka Murakami. But that's, like, to me, then you just don't want him. So good for the White Sox, a team that nobody's really linked to in the sense of, like, ooh, you know, they're going to get Framber Valdez. They're going to get – good for them for saying, I get what his shortcomings are. Everybody's got shortcomings. Everybody has – Trey Turner won the batting title. They're like, oh, he didn't hit for enough power. You know, there's so many things that you can point to squash salaries. Good for the White Sox for getting this one done.
Also, he's 25, he's a baby. How much development happens now? That's part of it. The point that I like, right? I'm just providing both sides of context here, Kratz. I'm not necessarily going against you. I honestly have a hard time figuring out what he's going to look like. I know he's going to hit dingers, and he's going to hit dingers on some mistake pitches. We'll see how the league figures out holes and how he adjusts, just like most young hitters have to do. But Ken Rosenthal pointed out in an article maybe 2 weeks ago that the 25% strikeout rate is actually lower than Shohei Ohtani's 27% strikeout mark. But he was younger, Ohtani. It was ages 18 to 22 seasons in NPB. But and Seiya Suzuki was at 16% in NPB before he signed with the Cubs. The point is, it's not like this guy is such an outlier with strikeouts, right? It's nice to see a guy like Okamoto who's going to come over here and sign Todd Father with really nice contact numbers, but it's not like this guy can't overcome swing and miss, even if it's a part of his game. It's not like he's not going to be a successful player. He might be a high strikeout guy. He might be a 25% plus 30% even strikeout guy in the big leagues, but if he hits 50 dingers, I think many teams would take that. It's just, I think the problem is it's really hard to gauge. Like, the upside is Kyle Schwarber, and the downside is
Joey
Dave
Gallo.
Kingman, Joey Gallo, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's difficult to see until we see him get on the field and get accustomed to USA baseball, man. That's all.
Yeah. Hey, I like it for the White Sox. Kratz, we were picking at the White Sox, and I mean, we still will because they're operating with a pretty small budget, but this is $17 million a year. And the White Sox second half offense was good, so that's good. We'll see if they can carry that. Is Colson Montgomery going to bring? Colson Montgomery has some swing and miss in his game, but he might hit 35, 40 homers too.
He showed his power that really didn't show up a ton in the minor leagues. Definitely translated to the big leagues. So what they're doing up there is good. And for me, Murakami, if he's able to not get away from his chase rate, because he doesn't chase very much, it's his in-zone contact. It's balls that are in the strike zone making contact with it. And it sounds very elementary and remedial to say, well, yeah, you just got to hit the balls. He has to be ready for the pitch that's middle. And if that means he does chase a little bit more, to me, that's how his power is going to play in the big leagues. Because Todd will let you know, if some dude doesn't hit for much power or doesn't drive the ball on all pitches, you're just going to keep pounding that pitch to the guy. You're going to nibble the zone with everything else, and then you're just going to keep attacking him the other way. And to me, just got to catch a few balls out front. The party's out front. Get the ball in the middle of the zone and let that power go to work.
Boom.
Yeah. They were
Spot
bottom
on.
5 in runs, the White Sox. They were bottom 5 in slugging percentage. Todd Father, you played there. That's not a pitcher's park. So it's time. It's time to get the offense cranking. Do you know who their home run leader was this past season? I don't know if you guys mentioned in the pregame meeting, but it's by far the toughest trivia question if you're asking for each team's home run leader for the year. This one, to me, is the toughest answer out of the 30 teams.
It wasn't Colson. Did Colson get it?
No, not enough time. You'll never. I mean, it's a guy where you're going to be like, oh, I completely forgot about him as even a factor that did anything. And obviously, you're not watching a lot of White Sox games compared to everything else. Colson Montgomery, by the way, finished with 21. He was one shy of the 22 home runs hit by Michael
A. Taylor.
Lanin Sosa. 22 home runs. Yeah, that wasn't happening. But now you've got Colson Montgomery, Kyle Teal, Edgar Caro, Miguel Vargas, Murakami's in there, Chase Mydroth, Braden Montgomery from the Crochet White Sox, Red Sox trade last year coming soon. You're starting to build a little bit of a core that has a chance to keep you in some games, which is good. All right, coming up next, we're going to hit another first base topic. We've hit 2 so far. We've got another to go. It's the polar bear migrating to Baltimore. Pete Alonso is going to join us live on FT coming up. Here we go. Baltimore Orioles first baseman Pete Alonso joining us right now on Foul Territory. Pete, great to have you on. Congratulations on the deal. And how does the introduction sound to you? Is it weird or is it feeling nice now?
No, it's awesome. I mean, I'm just so happy, and I mean, it's gonna be a great time in Birdland. So I'm stoked.
Well, you got all the right words. You say it all the time. Now it's Birdland. Look at you. You fit in like a sore thumb. I love that.
Oh. You want to talk about thumbs? Like, you should show the camera your crusty thumbs.
No,
come on, show the camera. Show them crusty
thumbs.
thumbs.
Don't even start.
I want to see it. Isn't it so gross? Pete, his thumbs are so gross.
My thumbs. You know about my thumbs. Don't start. All right?
All right. All right. We can start now.
Okay, let's go.
All right, so let's start here. I'll try and keep us on the rails at least for a few minutes of this conversation.
Please.
So I'll try. So when was the first conversation with Baltimore for you in terms of front office and everyone? I know you had some time at the winter meetings, but can you just take us through their recruiting process with you?
Yeah, so to be honest, it kind of started early. So it started right at the GM meetings where Mike sat down with my agent Scott, and they pretty much were. It's kind of like they just wanted to gauge interest, and for me, I'm like, they got a great talented young core, and Camden's a very, very gorgeous park. It's a great place to play. It's always for me a very enjoyable place to hit. So I'm like, yeah, I mean, if they're interested, I'd love to hear what they had to say. But really, for me, the couple points that really drove home that stood out was it pretty much gave me a whole blueprint. Mike Elias and then Albie, the manager. Like, I just think for me, my game and what I can bring to a team, I feel like this is the perfect fit.
Obviously Schwarber signs, and it comes out that Baltimore was in on Schwarber. After he signed, did you get phone calls then? Was the official offer? Because we always hear from free agents, and I love asking free agents this kind of stuff, like, oh, hey, gauging some interest. Hey, how you doing? But they never want to actually give the offer. Once Schwarber signed, is that when you got the offer, or was it out there before and it was one of hey, first one takes it, first one gets it?
So for it was actually interesting. So they got so they pretty much offered before our meeting, and just an initial offer. I won't get into details, but they were pretty serious right off the rip. And like before even meeting, they wanted to show how serious they were like, hey, we're doing this because like we really believe in you, and we want you to really just like hear us out. And then once it happened, I was like, I was just blown away with the plan. And I mean, with what they're trying to do, not just like the renovations that they're doing in the spring training complex, but in the stadium, and but just from just on a philosophical level, that I just think that they're like, I really get their vision, I see it, and I'm just stoked to be a part of it. I mean, I feel like it's a really exciting time to be a part of this organization, and I'm stoked.
So I'm texting my son right now because I forgot to tell him you were on the show, and I said, "You got any questions for Pete?" And he said, Blake and his boys at school. He said, "Do you think you made the decision too early and not wait for another offer from another team?" I said, and then I told him, "Get back to your studies." So we're good after that.
No, for honestly, it just for me, everything it just felt like it just fit like a glove. Everything was natural. Everything was. To me, this is after everything. It's like I have no regrets. Everything was just. I think it played out perfectly. I feel like I'm in the perfect spot.
That's awesome to hear. That's awesome because you got 5 years to do it. What was some of their pitch? What was some of the that you can tell us? Obviously, you can't tell us. Hey,
Right.
they're going to go out and get this. But what was some of their pitch? Because we're never sitting in those meetings as a free agent.
Well, to be honest, I just think. I mean, I don't want to get into the nitty gritty because that could be divulging a little too much. But to be honest, I think. I just really like. I just feel like everything is just aligned, like just from a connection standpoint, like how we view the game, and just like the attention to detail and the blueprint and the direction, and the commitment from it, not just from the managerial coaching staff side that Albie like pretty much laid right out, and then Mike was fantastic the whole way, and also honestly too from the new ownership group. I think it's everybody's on the same page, and it's just really it's and for me, like they're like, hey, like we not just like your talent, your skill set, but what you bring on and off the field could be a tremendous help, like not just the player and helping us win games, but like I learned some incredible leadership skills from Mr. Frazier helping out.
Hey,
Frazier's helped me out, and I feel like for them, they're like, hey, like you've played in some pretty high intensity ball games. You have playoff experience, and you know how to be a professional. And like, not only do we expect you to help win with your own contributions, but there's some guys in this team that could help use your guidance, and we think culturally you're a huge fit for us. Um and for me, it's like how, and again, oops, sorry, almost dropped you. But again, like it is like it just felt really, I don't know, it's like for them to really be fully committed, and see not just the stuff production wise, but to see what and recognize what I do and how I can help a clubhouse out in that way too. I mean, I'm just really I'm very appreciative of that, and I'm gonna give everything I got every day.
I know you wrote a nice message to the fans. I know how articulate you are, and you're a very smart man, and it was very heartfelt. It was beautiful. Let me ask you this, though. At the end of the day, forget about the fans. Talk about, like, I felt like the Mets really didn't get that much involved with you this offseason. Like that had to, I mean, home run king over there. You did your job, and the Mets fans loved you. That had to hurt a little bit, no?
I'm Todd. To be honest, buddy, like for me, it's just I just it's okay because I know I gave everything I had every single
No
day.
doubt.
I'm appreciative of it, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's for me. I'm just happy where this is, where not just where I'm going to be playing, but where like for me, like this is where my family's going to be, and they welcomed us with open arms, and that's why for me, it's like I feel like I'm in the right place, and I feel like we as a family are in the right place. And the Orioles, like they have they treated us excellent the whole way, and It's not that the Mets didn't. I'm just very like blessed, and I feel like we're in the right spot. And
Yep.
how could I be salty over that?
When did you
No
realize that you weren't going back to the Mets? Was it last offseason? Was it this offseason? Was it the end of the season?
I mean, it was pretty much when like when it came down to like the true negotiating point, and it's like, all right, it's just not going to happen. And that for me, it's like, and for me, it's like I gave everything I have, and I always do, and I just don't take it personal, because at the end of the day, it's their philosophy, it's their business decision. And I'm in a place that where they see me in their future and in their present. So I'm stoked to be there, and I can't wait to win ball games for the Baltimore Orioles.
Can you compare your 24 and 25 season in the sense of like how you felt? Because some people say you look at the numbers, well, you know, it's free agent year, some things got. You always are out there playing. You're always the guy who, just like you said, you're always giving everything you have. So that's never in question. Can you talk about how you felt in those 2 years going through,
Mhm.
you know, oh, I'm a free agent in 24. I've done this before in 25, and then you go out and essentially have a career year besides your rookie year like you did in 25.
Yeah, a lot of it didn't really have anything to do with that. A lot of it had to do with really deep diving into kind of like my process. Because for me, like I totally spearheaded like the biomechanical side of hitting and understanding more of how my body worked, and I pretty much shifted my entire program. And basically it helped me understand and know how to twist the dials day to day, not just like swing feels, body feels, but also like from a scouting perspective too. So um, for me, I think that was the adjustment. And the exciting thing is that 25 was the first year of me on my kind of like new program. And for me, I'm just really excited to keep d- forging down that path. And it's not like things weren't wrong in 24. I mean, things were okay. Um, but once I got to the playoffs in 24, I was like, man, I want to feel like this every day. How can I replicate it? How can I replicate not just this feeling, but how can I replicate the mechanics and get consistent in those and not deviate? There's got to be some sort of like workouts, activations, treatment for me to feel that way. And I kind of found the process in the off season going into 25, and pretty much stuck to it the whole year. And I feel like I have a great, not just awareness, but direction of how to attack each day.
Dude, that's solid. And I think year in and year out, you know, when I tell you how smart you are, that grew and grew as you saw more pitching, as you got developed and you understand everything else. You have a new baby boy, man. Congratulations, first and foremost. I think that's so
Thank
awesome.
you.
That puts everything in perspective. Talk about being, you
Yes.
know, a father now to a young boy, and you know, you got at least 5 years in Baltimore to raise him up and show him the ropes over there.
Yeah, I honestly, I mean, he's 3 months, and it's really a treat. But man, I can't wait till he starts walking, running around, and especially when he gets old enough to start swinging the bat around. I mean, I always watched you, Todd, like with and a bunch of other guys, like bring their kids in, like get to hit balls off the tee after the game, and just kind of do all that fun stuff while you're still in your uniform. I'm visualizing that and seeing, like, I don't know, like it's going to be really special to have those moments when he gets older. And even now, like it's just it's really such a treat.
Good. I love to hear the end part of that there, because don't ever wish it forward. If you ever seen the movie Click, where he just clicks it all forward, don't do the
Yep.
like. He's going to be at the field. He's going to be pooping his pants at the park. Like, it'll be great. Like, you'll have those times. Right now, enjoy the
Great.
fact that little nugget doesn't move anywhere. That's my only parental advice.
Yeah, because when they start getting up and moving around, that's when you got to play zone defense. I'm sure
Yes.
of it.
Yes. What are some of your goals? You're a guy that has an opportunity to hit 500 home runs. And I know you're going to say the team, we want to win the World Series. I get that. Or you wouldn't be really in this if it wasn't for the team stuff. Your personal goals. You're going to spend 5 years in Baltimore. What kind of personal goals? Are there numbers? Are there things besides like games played that you like are really zoned in and locked in on knowing the fact that you're going to be there for 5 years?
I mean, there's a comfort in that, but and this is the thing, like every year, regardless of contracts like situation, like sucking sucks, and you want to play the best of your ability every year, whether it's free agent or you're going in ARB or you're trying to hold on and stay in the big leagues. It doesn't matter. You still want to play your best every year. That's just the competitive nature of it. And like personally, yeah, like I think for me, like I know I'm a long ways away from like those like big numbers, but Kratzy, to be honest, like my goal is to play 162 every year, or get close to it or be as healthy as I can. So to give myself an opportunity to chase those, to chase those like things later on in the career. It's like right now, I'd like to think I'm in the kind of like the kind of the center, the middle, or the meat of my career, and I want to be able to like just outlast and endure and really just see how long I can play. And it's not just like it's not just from a year to year thing, but it's also like how long age wise. Like I'd love to be like, yeah, like 40 and going into my last big league season, like that'd be great. But you gotta earn it. Not just perform, but you have to stay healthy.
Yeah, my question to you next is, I know you have all these maybe designs and stuff going on with this new team. You have any new cleat or shoe or anything coming up? I feel like it's time to get things going here with you, man, with the polar bear.
No, I actually started this. Regardless, I wanted to have cleats that were Northern Light themed, because in the North Pole there's polar bears, and
Yes.
I wanted to keep it on theme and on brand. Thank you, Todd. Um, yeah, so we're doing
Waiting
we're
for my
doing
check.
Northern Light. Yeah, we're doing Northern Light themed cleats this year.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell Blake he'll be waiting for a pair for the season to come up this year, and we'll be even. How about that?
Even Steven.
Pete, you don't know him. You don't know him anything. Don't let his
Always try
weird
to.
thoughts like.
No, it's not for
Like,
him. It's for Blakester. So anything
Yeah.
for Blakester.
okay, that's
All
fair.
right.
That's fair. Who are you looking forward to getting into camp seeing? Is there one guy on the Orioles that you're like, man, I've kind of watched this guy for a little while. I kind of want to see what he's like day in and day out.
Yeah, obviously there's some great young talent. I mean, Gunnar Rakes. But what I'm really interested is I want to see Tyler O'Neill's workout regime.
Mm.
Okay.
I mean, that's behind the scenes. That's behind the scenes. No one sees it, but I just want to watch that guy work out just one
So
time, just see what he does.
are you gonna keep up with him? Like, because I heard he's a 125 dumbbell press guy. Like,
Mm.
are you there?
Love that. I want to see it.
Are you there though? But are you going to be able to lift with him? Because polar bears are
No,
some of the strongest mammals on Earth.
that's fine, but I just want to. Again, I just want to be a spectator first.
Shirt on or shirt off? What's your like?
So the lifts, it'll be. So I stole some swag from Harrison Bader. So it's cut sleeves and then cropped,
Crop top. I
Like-
feel like Tyler
like Gold's
O'Neill's got
Gym.
that.
like
Gold's
the old
Gym back in the day.
football two-a-day under that go under the pads.
Okay, that's fair.
Yep. That
I
is.
got one
Hey,
last one for you from me, Pete. Before you want to go, Scotty, you got a baseball one. Mine's not
Yeah.
baseball.
yeah. Well, this is celebration wise. So, I mean, you've probably seen what the Orioles do, and I don't know if they'll run it back again, but they're all drinking from the funnel, stuff like that. So it's kind of a
Mhm.
two-part question. Like, have you seen what they do, and will you bring someone that bring something to the table there? But also, it felt like 2 years ago the Mets had, as Kratz calls them, tons of gimmicks. but it kind of worked. Like you guys had magic, and then last year you guys didn't have it. So did you learn anything from the experience of gimmicks where it's like, and we have Mendy on the show all the time. So he's like, oh, that was that was fine for that one time, but that's so many. So I'm like, all right, so maybe there's a space between like 8 gimmicks and 0 gimmicks that actually works, and it's a winning formula.
You just got to find something that works. It's like, all right, it's like, okay, this pair of batting gloves, I lined out, so it's the batting gloves' fault that the defender was there. So I'm just going to get another color pair and it'll work that time. It's like you just don't know what's going to work until it happens. Or it's like, oh, I tied my right shoe today. That's why I swung at 3 balls in the dirt. Or it's like, oh, you know what? I don't know, I had eggs today and I had 3 hits. It's the eggs that did it. It's honestly, it doesn't matter whatever method of the madness. It's like you just got to find what works, whether it's a lot or a little, and it's case dependent.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a bad gimmick if you're getting knocks and you're getting W's, right?
100%. Like again, like it's it's only cool if it works.
That's fair. That's fair. And no such thing as a bad hit. I like that. All right, I got one
Yes.
hard-hitting Mets question, and I got one fun one at the end for you. But you've seen the fact that they traded Nimmo, they didn't bring Diaz, Edwin back. You're not back. Did you foresee that coming last year, how the season ended, or is it something that you've been surprised about?
I mean, it's kind of like a philosophical thing where it's like, hey, that's just what they wanted to do. But if you think on it, like 2025, it just came down to one game. It came down to one game, and there was a ton of guys hurt. Where I feel like if they weren't, that would have put us in a better situation. And you can't control injuries. Like we had a ton of arms that weren't necessarily healthy, and it's just what that plagued us. And again, it was like it was a one game not in the playoff situation where I feel like maybe if it was like I don't know, but again, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole because it's not my choice, not my decision.
Yep. Hey, you might have a decision for the World Baseball Classic. I haven't heard about you yet. I know you played on the 23 team. I remember Mookie Betts was telling us how you had the best one-liners, like you were the funniest guy on the team, and there were a lot of funny guys. So in addition to what you can bring on the field and USA trying to get a title back and all those pitchers joining, do you have any news? Have there been any conversations? A lot of the other spots are filling up, but first base is looking a little bit open.
I mean, I haven't really, I really haven't had any I mean, it was really brief with D-Row, like is during the year last year. Cause yeah, I mean, I'd love to do it. I mean, it's a sick tournament. It's a great event. I think it's phenomenal for the sport. But yeah, I haven't heard anything, but again, love to do it. So yeah, D-Row, if you want to give me a call, it's fine. That'd be great. We can chat.
Wow.
First base wide open, D-Row, call him.
I'm surprised. You have did you change your number? Because I know somebody changed their number last offseason, but maybe they don't have your new number. That's what it is.
That's probably right, Kratzy. That's probably right.
They watch this. I promise you that. So you might get a phone call. But Kratz, finish strong for us.
All right. This isn't even a strong one, but you went to Florida, orange. You went to the Mets, orange. How on earth can you play? Let's see, you're going to be 35. How can you play the last 17 years in orange? Some people go never. They never play in orange, and they look terrible in orange. How can you play in orange for 17 straight years?
You know what? The baseball gods, that's just the way that the stars have aligned, I mean, the baseball gods, that's just my journey and path. Like, all right, you're going to wear orange for a really long time. And that's fine. And that's okay.
Love it.
Yeah. Hey, it's great. It's easy. You can just stick to one color for everything that you have around life. Maybe if you got the man cave that you're decorating, we know what color it is going to be the color scheme. It makes life really easy on that front.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, orange, it's a fun color, and yeah, I mean, it just happens to be a part of my uniform.
Yep.
Pete,
I like it.
One last thing. Let's all give four thumbs up for for the Orioles. All of us, all four of us at one time.
Come on, Todd, do it. Come on.
This is how you hit a home run, kids, without actually holding the bat. Come on, Todd.
Oh,
No, I'm
How
not
do you hit a
doing
home
it.
run without the bat?
I'm
You
not
got to
doing
have
it.
one of those. Come on, show us your superpower. Pete said he's only coming on if you show him a thumb on the way out.
it's
We're
fine.
number one, baby. We're
It's
number
fine.
one.
Oh, wow. Okay, we'll save it for the in-person in spring training or
you're in
something.
trouble. Wait till I see you again, Kratzy.
Oh, I love it. It's good heat. It's such good heat. I love it.
Yeah. Well, Pete, awesome to have you on here. Thank you for joining us. We'll try and get Todd to give you a thumbs up for the next conversation. Have a great holiday, and we'll talk to you. We'll see you in spring training.
Yes. Happy holidays, guys. Happy New Year's, and I'll see you at camp.
Thank you. Sounds good. We'll see you
Thanks,
then.
Pete.
Appreciate you.
Peace,
See you,
guys.
Pete.
I mean, it's pretty clear that the Phillies are trying to change things around in that clubhouse a little bit. And it's also pretty clear that with guys like the Castellanoses and the Stroms of the world, that they weren't so pleased with some of what they were getting out of those two pieces of the pie. They've had at times pretty productive careers. There's no question about it. And, when you end up jettisoning a player like Strom in particular, you start thinking about what the reasons are. Well, I think it's a combination. It's a layering thing. It's about the money and freeing up their opportunity to sign that, to sign Keller. And I think it's also about maybe freeing up a little money to try to bring JT back. And that's part of it as well. I mean, it's not an unlimited payroll. And I think that there's also some issues with the makeup there, and the fact that he has some decline. Left-handed pitchers, and we've gone through this a lot. I mean, he was lights out. Strom was lights out in 2024. Was an all-star. Was phenomenal. I mean, there was maybe not a better, more effective left-hander. Not as effective last year. Had a little short, late start because of his health. At some point, you start to decline a little bit. Wasn't nearly as sharp, I didn't think, in the playoffs as he was in the past. So I think it's a combination of some of the stuff going downhill a little bit, maybe a little makeup issue in the clubhouse, perhaps a little, perhaps the ability to free up a little bit money to do some other things. And, sometimes you make decisions not just based on one thing, but based on a variety of things. And that seems to be what's happened with Strom.
Hey, we're back for a couple minutes to recap our Pete Alonso conversation, and then we will bring in Robert Murray for an insider segment. A lot to get to there. Todd, Father, what did you think of his answers about joining Baltimore and then also departing the Mets? To me, just trying to read the psychology, some players are not going to just sit there and roast the past team. Pete's not just a classy guy, but it seems like he's like a push forward guy. So it's like, cool, message sent, gotcha. I'm an Oriole now. I don't care. Past is the past. The only thing we did get was the one answer from a Kratz question about how one little thing could change the trajectory of what the team looks like this coming offseason, right? But they didn't make the playoffs. Yeah. So when he was like, are you surprised they blew the team up? It's like, what did you get from him there?
I thought it was genuine. I thought everything he speaks is genuine. When he gets a hard-hitting question, he likes to think about it too. He stutters a little bit, knowing him just personally, but he says the right things. He's not, like I said, he's a smart dude. He's very articulate. He's articulate when it comes to hitting too as well, and defense. Happy for him. Very happy for the guy. I was upset, Mets didn't fight for this guy because of who he is and what he stands for, not only as a baseball player, but as a human being in New York and what he does there. That's the business side I hate and despise about when you don't think about what the guy has inside and what he brings to the table. and he's a good ball player. He's very good. He can play the game of baseball very well. So unfortunate, but happy that he's in a really good place. He just had a new baby boy, and his family is flying high right now. So good friend of mine, and very happy where he's at. And they're going to be very good this year. So it's going to be a good team he's on.
It's a team you didn't think would be good this past season, probably more than anyone else. You were like, this team's not. We criticized what they did last year. They have completely changed it this year, right? But last year, you were like,
they're not.
I don't think this team's making the playoffs, and you were right. Most people were like, I don't know, maybe it's a wild card team. You were like, they're not making the playoffs this year. It's Pete, it's Shane Baz, it's reliever help, it's going on, and they're probably going to land another starter.
And the way Pete was talking, I don't want to release everything. Remember, he said Kratz, he had that question. So there's still stuff I think the Orioles are going to at least try to do.
Agreed. Yeah, I think they're going to land one of the free agent starters that everyone knows pretty well within the baseball world. But for more on that, let's talk to Robert Murray. Now it's an official segment title. It's the Robert Report. Here is Robert Murray, fan-sided and FT insider, joining us right now during a super hot time. It's almost like the winter meetings continue. Robert, good to see you. And we'll get to some moves and signings that were just made. But I do want to start with some of the heavy hitters. We are heading into the holidays. Sometimes teams take a break in agencies and players and all of that, and sometimes they don't. So we've got Alex Bregman's name floating around. We've got Bo Bichette's name floating around. Kyle Tucker, many of the free agent starters. Most of the top 10 are still unsigned. Do you think any of them are close? Do you feel like we have any contenders that are on a short list at this point for any of the players I just mentioned?
Yeah, first of all, good to be here with you boys. I like that intro. And Todd, I also totally agree with what you were saying, how we don't value what's inside for the players as much as we used to. So I think that was a really good point by you. But as far as the big names go here, I would not rule out one of these guys coming off the board here between now and the holiday. It seems like things are pretty active around the league, and there's teams that are still trying to bolster their rosters as they should, considering the level of talent that's out there. And a guy like Alex Bregman is getting a whole lot of public attention now. Obviously, he's been connected to the Cubs, where I reported that he had a Zoom meeting with them. The Arizona Diamondbacks are a suitor in this, the Boston Red Sox, now the Toronto Blue Jays. The interest there has definitely picked up. I don't know if he's going to end up being the guy to sign between now and the holiday, but the fact that we're getting this much buzz definitely seems to indicate that teams are becoming more serious about signing these kind of players. And I think Murakami coming off of the market too kind of adds some clarity there as well. Cody Bellinger, to me, makes a whole lot of sense for teams. And we saw Will Salmon drop the New York Mets as a possibility, or at least I think he speculated them as an option. But to me, a fit with the New York Yankees makes the most sense for Bellinger there. And then Bo Bichette, he feels kind of like a guy who's somehow flying under the radar somehow, which he's such a talented player where that doesn't feel like it should be possible. But if you look at him, he makes sense for so many of these different teams. Obviously, a reunion with Toronto makes sense. I still think the Boston Red Sox make a whole lot of sense there, and I still feel like they're sniffing around that market. But there's going to be other teams involved in Bichette as well. And I've seen the buzz about him, teams being interested in him outside of second base. I don't know why we're in such a hurry to move him away from shortstop. He's still a really good shortstop. He's only 28 years old. He's just such a talented guy that I feel like we're getting too cute with him, and he should be a shortstop now. Maybe moves to a different position in the future for sure. But right now he should be a shortstop, and I don't think there should be a debate there.
Robert, you want to know why? That's what you're hearing from around the industry. Because who gets paid more, second basemen or shortstops? It's the industry trying to squash his value. So you're exactly right. He is a shortstop till you move him off. You pay him like he's a shortstop. The one person you didn't mention in that whole diatribe you just had, Kyle Tucker. Why is Kyle Tucker's name not out there? Are people afraid of him waiting and driving up the price for the other players that you just mentioned that could sign sooner, and then they're out on the Kyle Tucker? What's the latest for Tucker?
I wouldn't interpret the lack of buzz with Tucker for a lack of interest. I think there's a really good amount of interest, probably from the majority of the big market teams for Tucker. I mean, if you look at him, he's a five-tool player. I know Scott Boras said at the GM meetings that there's only one 5-tool outfielder this offseason, and it's Cody Bellinger. I maybe you forgot about Kyle Tucker. I don't know. But Tucker, to me, is by far and away the most talented guy in the market. He can hit. He can play defense. He's a good locker room guy. And last year, he fought through a finger injury for the most of the second half of the season, still put up some really good numbers there. I don't know what his eventual contract looks like, whether it's $300 million, $400 million, or whatever, but he's drawing a good amount of interest. As I reported, he ended up visiting the Toronto Blue Jays facility there in Dunedin. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up doing similar visits with teams as well, or if he's already done them. I don't know. Just because if he did the research or did his homework with Toronto, it's likely he's going to end up doing the same thing with other suitors here as well. But I don't think he's holding up the market by any means. I think he's just taking his time. It's doing his due diligence and is not trying to rush a decision where he's going to end up playing the majority of his career. It takes time, but I can confidently say there is plenty of interest in Kyle Tucker.
All right, you mentioned the Jays, so I'll go to the Jays. They're looking for a big bat. They're the most exciting team in the playoffs, for sure. I know they didn't win, but they've been the most exciting team in the offseason. Where do you feel like that big bat is going to matriculate for them? Is it making an offer at somebody besides Bo and then falling back to Bo? Is it now we're out on Bo? How do you feel like this offseason is trending for them to get that big bat?
I think there's a better chance of them adding a big bat now than there has been in previous off seasons for them. And that's a really exciting thing. People are excited about Toronto. You talk to agents, you talk to players, you talk to, whoever else around the league. Being in Toronto is viewed as a really good thing. You have a winning ball club. It's a great city for baseball. And they're considering all sorts of different options here, whether, as you mentioned, Bo Bichette. And a Bichette reunion is very much on the table with them. It's something that they would like. He's obviously a homegrown player there, someone that they know inside and out. To me, I think that fit makes a whole lot of sense for them. Tucker is also a player who is of interest there. Heard some different rumblings, can't exactly figure out what's real and what's not, but I can confidently say that they are interested in him, as they should. Because if you end up adding either one of those two, and shoot, I'm even seeing some buzz from some of the other insiders saying that they could possibly add both. That to me feels like that seems like a lot. I don't know if they can end up pulling something off quite like that, but if you can add either one of those guys, and Bregman, we're starting to see their name connected to Bregman now. It makes sense, but part of me wonders, okay, maybe that is real, or maybe that's trying to pressure a guy like Bichette into seeing that and being like, oh crap, maybe I have to take their offer now. I don't know, but that's something that I've kind of considered with that one.
Hey, Robert, I'll take some moves that have been made over the past few days and try and spin them forward with you at the same time. Let's go to Pittsburgh. We're going to talk to Brandon Lowe on this show soon. That's a team that could have trouble recruiting based on the success of the franchise, or the lack of success of the franchise, and the lack of commitment by ownership for a long time. That's no secret. We've talked about that plenty. Do you think this continues to be a viable route for Pittsburgh versus attacking the free agent market, or does showing some seriousness here in acquiring an impact bat like Brandon Lowe help them in the recruiting process? It sounds like the Pirates still have one or two moves up their sleeves, and they did improve the offense pretty significantly in my mind. We didn't have a ton of time to talk about it the other day, but Brandon Lowe could bring you 30 homers from second base. Connor Griffin is the top prospect in baseball, according to Baseball America. That could be your double play combo this coming season, and immediately give them a massive boost from what was there at those two spots. So what do you think is next for Pittsburgh?
To me, I'm looking at the free agent market for them, and I think you're spot on. You see them address this offense through trade and getting Brandon Lowe, which I thought was a really strong move. And people I talked to around the league really praise that as a very strong move for Pittsburgh, kind of a no-brainer for them, adding 3 players while only giving up Mike Burrows. I thought that was really smart by that front office there. And now you can look at it from a couple of different ways here through free agency. Do you spend on Okamoto? Do you go after Ryan O'Hearn? Or do you spend and try to get a guy like Marcell Ozuna? To me, all 3 of those guys are on the table in Pittsburgh. But I'll look at a guy like Ryan O'Hearn. He is, I think he'd be a really strong fit in that locker room. You talk to people around Baltimore and you talk to people around the Padres, and they all say the same thing. He's a great clubhouse guy. He's obviously an emerging player offensively. Ever since he got traded from Kansas City, he really broke out in Baltimore and was one of the more highly coveted guys at the deadline. So if you can get him, or if you can get a guy like Ozuna, who's a tremendous power hitter, he's put up better numbers in the majors than all three of those guys, or all the other two guys, I should say. To me, that makes either one of those guys makes a whole lot of sense. I don't know the likelihood that they add either one of those three, but I definitely think it's very possible they do so. And if you can end up adding to that offense and combine that with that pitching staff, which is among the best in baseball, I said it on a previous show. I got absolutely clowned for it, but I'm going to say it again. If you get the Pirates back to the postseason, come on, baby. Like that's good for ball. I would love it.
No, stop it.
Yeah,
stop
I'm saying, I might get clowned. Who knows?
Yeah. And
it is good
I'm
for
saying
ball,
this,
Tom. They haven't made it in a long time. They haven't played playoff baseball in a decade.
Get me the Pirates to the postseason.
Listen, I'm not mad at what you said. I've just been there. I've been with the Pirates, and understandably, for the players, for the players, great. That's so funny. I lost my train of thought, but now I got it back. New York Mets, Yankees. They got all these big names out there. Have there been any talks with these teams, fighting to get a big name going back over there? I feel like they've just been kind of cruising here a little bit. The holidays are coming quick.
Yeah, they've definitely been cruising here. And I'll start with the Yankees here. They're making these small signings. They're losing all these guys to the Mets, and it's got Twitter kind of in a frenzy. I don't know if that's the right word or not, but to me, the most obvious move for the Yankees to make is re-signing Cody Bellinger. Maybe Trent Grisham taking the qualifying offer kind of throw a wrench in their plans a little bit, but Bellinger's sitting out there. He's not seeking that $400 million that was reported the other day. I don't know how that ended up getting out there, but his ask, whatever it is much more reasonable than that. But if you can end up getting Cody Bellinger back, add him to that outfield, to me, that just changes the entire narrative about your offseason. Maybe you go out and get another reliever, although I don't necessarily think at this point it's going to end up being anybody too big. To be fair, there's not really that many high-priced guys out there besides Pete Fairbanks, but for me, that's the obvious move with the Yankees. With the Mets, they have to do something, whether it's a Kyle Tucker, whether it's even a Bellinger type, or one of these other high-priced free agents. To me, that's something that they got to go out and do. Because if you're Steve Cohen and you're seeing exactly how the media, the fan base is talking about your team, and he cares about that team more than anybody. If you're seeing that, you got to be frustrated. And you're going to be inclined to make a big move. David Stearns is one of the more he thinks his stuff out. Like, he's very well spoken. He's very process oriented. So he's not going to panic by any means, but he's got to do something. I expect him to do something. And usually with Stearns, it's not necessarily the move that you would expect, but I'm confident that he's going to end up getting it right. It's just taking a lot longer than these people would like.
Hey, Robert, I just want to go back to one point you made within this, the report about the $400 million for Bellinger. And that stuff's all out there in public. Barry Bloom is the writer for Sportico. It's not someone that's usually breaking news like that. And then he actually came out and made a story out of a story when he retracted it, which is good. That's what you're supposed to do. If you feel like it was wrong, he gets someone like Scott Boras coming out and being like, that's not a thing. I don't know where you're getting that from. But the story even continued when, I want to get your insight because you deal with this stuff all the time. Fans are obviously going after this guy and they're like, credit to you for holding yourself accountable, but you really, as a reporter, need to do your due diligence before reporting, false reports, blah, 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 blah. Credibility should matter. He replied and said, it's a highly credible source versus Scott Boras giving his side of the story. He said, I'm giving both sides of the story. The source obviously wanted the figure out there. Scott didn't. This is due diligence. I think there's a lot you can unpack just with that answer alone. But how do you navigate that? Because in my mind, yes, the other person he's going through could be a credible source, but he could be throwing out BS numbers. When I saw that initially pop up, I'm like, $400 million for Cody Bellinger is way above what he's going to land, right? I think we feel like maybe $200 million, whatever. $400 million is not even close. So I am siding with the player and the player rep on that case. And it almost made me think, is somebody trying to push the market forward on the team or executive side by throwing some crazy number out there and clearing the deck?
Yeah, it's crazy. And something it's hard to navigate something quite like that, because if you hear something from a highly credible source, like the first thing that you would think is, okay, yeah, you got to run that by the player, the rep, or someone close to that situation who they can end up giving a different perspective on it. And I mean, I don't want to speak anything bad about Barry. I mean, he did it. I give him credit for backtracking it and saying what Boris said, because that's not an easy position to be in by any means. But it's one of the more difficult parts of the offseason that I'm starting to learn how to navigate, because like different things come your way and you always wonder, like, is there a motive behind this? Is there not? Like, what exactly is? But I'll tell you, it's one of the many layers of this job that is really, really difficult. But that being said, Bellinger is going to do very well in free agency. Maybe it's a long-term contract. I would imagine it's going to be a long-term contract for a guy like Bellinger. Maybe like a 5 or 6 year deal to me would make the most sense for him. Maybe longer, who knows? But yeah, his market, I don't know. Yankees, but who else is involved in this? Could the Giants be involved? To me, they could use another big bat. I think Bellinger would make a lot of sense. He's from the Arizona area, could have spring training in Scottsdale. I mean, who knows? But yeah, I'm curious to see what exactly his market looks like besides the Yankees.
I'm with you. I just looked. I was like, 400 million. Where are you getting that one? That seems.
Yeah, I saw it. I'm like, what? Yeah.
That's why I was just like, if you get that from someone, I don't know, maybe you're double, even triple checking that with others to make sure that that's real. That's just a big ass number to throw out there and feel confident on. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Just knowing how the industry numbers look.
Oh yeah, no, totally. And like the thing for me is, whenever I put something out, I always got to make sure it's 100%. Because the one thing, and I give credit to Ken Rosenthal for teaching me this when I was at the Athletic. He told me that you can be right 99 times, but people will always remember the one time that you're wrong. And there's been a time where I've been wrong before, and it's a really bad sinking feeling. So always making sure you're 100% is a really important thing, because credibility at the end of the day is what matters the most. And I want people to see my stuff and be like, okay, yeah, that's right. Because I just don't want to be known as the guy that gets something wrong, because that's a bad feeling.
I'm with you. That's why people love you. Okay, let's get to the rest of the American League East. How do you dissect the plans for Boston and for Baltimore the rest of the way? I know we started touching on the Bregman market already, but they picked up Willson Contreras. It's not huge money for them. They even got the Cardinals to eat a little bit of the money. Most of their work has been via trade, right? So they pick up Sonny Gray, they pick up Oviedo. These are all great moves, and Sonny Gray's not cheap, but my point is they're not committing hundreds of millions of dollars to future contracts. Does it seem like they are setting up this lane to try and win the bid for Alex Bregman or someone else? And then on the Baltimore side, they spent big money on Pete Alonso, who we just had on the show, but they traded for Shane Baz, who could be a number 2 or 3 starter for them and cost a few $1 million next season. I'm saying both of these things in a good way. Is it seems like they've created lanes where they can still strike in a big way.
Oh yeah, no, it's what that division is doing right now is awesome. Like, all these teams are trying to compete. Like the Rays, I mean, they've traded off the major league roster, but still, like, there's always a plan at Tampa Bay, and they somehow always find a way to exceed expectations. And it's also part of the reason why I want the Yankees to go out and spend and go get a guy like Cody Bellinger. But if you're looking at Boston, their big priority this offseason was addressing the pitching staff, and they wanted to add a middle of the order impact bat. And they ended up adding an impact guy in Willson Contreras, and they got him, but there's still flexibility for them to go out and do more. And a guy like Bregman is absolutely on the table there. I still think Bichette's in play there as well. So if you can add either one of those two guys, and shoot, let's say you go out and get Bichette, that makes your team a whole lot better. You add a guy who's still 28, but it also weakens a division rival. That to me would be a really intriguing thing if I'm Boston. But the indications that I got yesterday was that even after getting Contreras, they're still going to be going after another bat. And that's awesome, because we've talked about the Red Sox in previous off seasons where they're just not willing to go out and spend. And in this offseason too, they've even come up short with some offers or just in talks for some other guys too. Schwarber was a player that I heard that Boston loved, and they just were not anywhere close to doing so there. So I hope they change their mind and go out and try to spend big on either Bregman or Bichette. I hope they do. We'll see. But as far as the Baltimore Orioles go, pitching seems like the next priority for them, or still the same priority, because they've already added to the rotation twice. I would think now that they still go out and get maybe, I don't know, maybe it's not like a high level guy. I mean, maybe it could be. Like, this isn't somebody I've heard as far as the Orioles go, but just talking the market in general, I feel like a guy like Walker Buehler's kind of been forgotten about. If you can add him on a 1-year flyer, he's obviously has a tremendous history with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Struggled last year with Boston, but as soon as he went to Philly, I know it was only a few starts, but he showed something there. His numbers were a lot better in Philly. I wonder if you can end up getting something more out of Walker Buehler, and that could be like a low risk, high reward type signing for Baltimore or just any other team. But circling it back to Baltimore, I would expect them to add another starting pitcher at some point here.
Doesn't it have to be somebody on a longer term deal for Baltimore? Didn't they play in the Walker Buehler water last year, signing Shigano, missing out on Sonny Gray saying, yes, I'll accept a trade? Like, I get it. They got Shane Baz, and they have Bradish back, who should be the guy in that rotation. And Tyler Rogers did what he did.
Trevor,
but isn't this the time? What did I say? Tyler Rogers? I always do that.
Just making
Trevor
sure.
Rogers.
Just Trevor. And also Morton last year, Kratz, is a good point. They played in the Morton Shigano waters. Good call.
The Shigano, Morton, Walker Buehler, I get it. Cool story. Mm-hmm. But in my opinion, isn't this, or I'm asking your opinion, where this position player core is, you essentially have 3 years to get this thing done. And they punted on it last year because they didn't feel like they had Bradish, and Grayson Rodriguez didn't come back. You can't miss again. And to me, the floor should be, for the Orioles, the floor should be a Ranger Suarez. Yep. And then from there, you're in the Zach Gallen, you're in the Framber Valdez if you're going to go higher, or you're in that big trade market. And that isn't this the time to do that? And Walker Buehler's just and also right now.
No, honestly, that's a really good point by you, and that's something that they're probably talking about internally there. As maybe this is the time now where you go out and spend big, and they viewed that offensively as something that they really needed to do. They made that very competitive offer for Kyle Schwarber. There was a lot of people who were really bummed out with that team when they ended up not getting him, but they immediately pivoted to Pete Alonso, and they added that impact guy. And as you said, they have that young core on offense that signed pretty cheap. I mean, obviously with the exception of Taylor Ward and Pete Alonso, but still, like, their payroll is not among the highest in the league. If you can go out and get a Ranger Suarez type, who you mentioned, and a name that I heard connected with them very early on in the offseason, to me, that makes so much sense, rather than just the Band-Aid type, a guy like Walker Buehler. If you can add Ranger Suarez to that rotation or anyone along those lines, to me, like, you're talking about a World Series caliber team. At least winning that division would certainly be possible, but the upside there would be tremendous. So I will admit, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I was a little short-sighted, so I'll give Erik some credit there. That was a good shot by you. I like that.
No doubt about it. The White Sox signing Murakami there. A lot of people thought he should have got a lot more money, a little bit on the table there. Do you see the White Sox, after this, spending a little bit more on other players to come, to Chicago?
Yeah, I would say it adds to their excitement for this year and even going forward. And if you can end up getting that into maybe another starting pitcher, another player that I heard connected to them was Ryan O'Hearn throughout the offseason. I don't know if that's going to necessarily be a fit after they get a guy like Murakami, but for a first big spend by Chris Getz, I don't think he could have done much better here in getting Murakami for 2 years for $34 million, which was well below the estimates for what people had him getting this offseason. And I think it makes sense for both the team and the player. From the player's perspective, you have 2 years here to really kind of eliminate any doubts that people would have about your swing and miss rate or just how he's going to translate to Major League Baseball. From the White Sox perspective, it's a 2-year deal, pretty low risk for them. I think it's so smart of them. And if he ends up panning out, you have 2 years of high-level performance for a guy who's going to be in his prime. If it doesn't work out, then it's only 2 years. I think it's such a smart move by the player, the agent, and the team. And I hope it works out because they have such a young, talented roster or nucleus. They still have a long ways to go. Like, there's no doubt about it. But I remember I was talking to Chris Getz at the GM meetings, and I asked him about that return for Garrett Crochet and how excited he was about it. And he made it very clear that he was extremely excited about it when he made that trade. And he's aware of what Crochet did in Boston for sure, but he's even more excited about it now than he was back then and thinks it could be like a franchise-altering haul. So to me, I like what they're doing, but they still have a long ways to go, which is kind of why I think we should manage expectations for him this offseason. But in future off seasons, then maybe we can talk about the White Sox spending a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, this guy is clearly risky, Murakami, based on how the industry is evaluating him. Perfect risk for Chicago to take on. Even the defense, right? Perfect risk, right? If he doesn't end up working out as a defender at first base, it's a risk that they can take, I think, easier than other teams. We're looking at Willson Contreras if you're Boston, Okamoto, it sounds like if you're Pittsburgh or someone else, the Mets going for Polanco, whatever, right? Like those are guys, I think all of them will be serviceable enough, not only offensively, but even defensively. I know Polanco is a little more of a question mark based on not playing first base in the past, but like this Murakami guy could end up being a DH only. It's just hard to tell how his defense is going to grade out. White Sox have been terrible the last few years. They can take that risk. So, Robert,
For
good
sure.
stuff, man. Great. Yeah, go ahead. I just think for the White Sox, they can kind of go there, you know?
Yeah. It also gives people reason to go into the stands there and to go watch them. Because like if you add a player of that caliber, he turns out to be something, like that gives something like people something to be excited about. I have a White Sox buddy of mine who lives here in Arizona, and he'd never text me about the White Sox unless it's something like really bad. But he was so excited after that signing. He was like, I can't believe we got him. And I'm like, you got to imagine that entire city's feeling like that. So I think that's really cool. So shout out to Chris Getz for doing that, because the White Sox spending are just these other teams spending. I say it a lot and I'll say it again. It's good for baseball. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's good to spread the wealth too, just in terms of Japanese talent ending up in other places. The Dodgers have dominated that marketplace. They're not going to pick up all of these guys, especially on the position player side. They don't have room for them, even if they did want them. So, Robert, good stuff, man. Good to see you. Enjoy the holiday. Keep hustling. I'm sure there will be more news going on over the next several days, but we'll talk when FT is back live right in 2026 to start the year.
Oh, let's make it happen. I appreciate you boys. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and hopefully we can get some scoops between now and Christmas. So fingers crossed.
Yes, same here, dude. Thank you. You're on it. We appreciate you heading into 2026, bud. Talk soon.
All right, appreciate you. Thank you.
Hot corner time. Let's talk about the state of the Yankees this offseason. A team that scored a ton of runs, made the playoffs, has a lot of promising pitching coming up this season, but fans expect more. They want action, and they've been pretty quiet so far on that front. Fans just saw Yankees sign, and then they see Paul Blackburn. And it's nothing against Paul, Todd Father, but it's not the big fish that fans are looking for. 1-year deal, $2 million, right? They've signed him Ed Rosario, Ryan Yarbrough. Now here's Blackburn for some pitching depth, who's dealt with a fair share of injuries, but maybe could be either a swingman or a back-end depth guy. So there's that. But I do want to go bigger picture here. Where do you think fans are at right now with this team and what they're expecting? We just spoke to Robert Murray, who still linked Cody Bellinger to the team, and they're probably battling over what that price will look like. But you know how it is. Even if the team had no holes, they've got to make a splash. It's just the way that the fan base demands things. And in fairness to the fan base, they haven't won a championship since 2009, and it was not a perfect run in the playoffs just now. They got smacked around by the Blue Jays.
Yeah, it's that "what have you done for me lately" mentality, which we're, born and raised over here to, pretty much abide by. I think the fans it's anticipation. I think the word I was used, they're, a little on edge, a little excitement, a little, hey, what's Cashman going to do? Yeah, it's a pickup. Paul Blackburn is not the same guy he used to be, but finding a way to get a guy in there to, help out with the team. Yeah, I think it's that wait and see. I think there's plenty of time still left. You got all of January coming up, and I think, honestly, they are going to make a move to get a big name. It's just nobody's really taken down those bigger names besides like a Pete Alonso, like hitting-wise. It's just holidays come around, everything gets slow, and then it'll pick back up after the new year, in my opinion. But yes, I think they have some opportunities to get some guys, and I think they will. They're going to put in a good effort to get some, an outfielder, of course, and go from there because they need a couple pitchers. There's two guys, Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon, that aren't going to be ready in the beginning of the year. So we'll see how that transpires.
Okay. Hey, let's take a break from talking Yankees content for a moment. Our next guest is ready to go. And he is a... The newest member of the Pittsburgh Pirates is here. Brandon Lowe joining us right now, just a few days after the trade over from the Rays and a great run with Tampa Bay. Brandon, good to see you, man. Happy holidays. And what was your reaction when you got the phone call?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. A lot of mixed emotions on it, honestly. We were kind of expecting it. We got a little bit of a heads up from Erik, so, absolutely didn't have to do that. And so it was a great thing on his part to do. But yeah, it was just, closing the chapter in Tampa. But on the flip side of things, going to a team that's, showing a will to go get guys and really kind of get into that win now mode.
What is a heads up? What is it like? Hey, in 2 hours this could happen. Hey, we're talking, and a week later it happened.
It was more of, hey man, talks are really starting to kick up a little bit, and I mean, you know how things work. I've been around the Rays for a while. You understand the business model and how things work over there, and you start to play GM in your own head, so you kind of understand that this makes too much sense to move me now. So it just all kind of came together, and you kind of started putting the puzzle pieces together yourself. It was more of a couple of days of this really started ramping up. I would be prepared, look into something happening.
Do they tell you what teams are asking? And did you think it was going to be the Pirates when Erik called you? You're talking about Erik Neander for anybody who doesn't know.
Yeah, he kind of gave me just like a list. He was like, hey, these are the teams. Like, I can't tell you one is going to be the thing because, I mean, the Pirates could have offered one thing and then, another team swoop in with a better deal and they would have done that one. So it's more just, hey, these are some of the people that are, searching around to trade for you. And, we just want to give you that heads up.
Have the Pirates talked to you about, where you're going to play, what positions, and what they think about you and where you're going to be, pretty much?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of phone calls the past few days. I've been probably used up my words for the next month and a half. All the talking I've had to do. But yeah, I mean, it seems that second base is going to be the primary focus, and then whatever else they ask of it. But I'm excited to get out there and be in a position that I'm comfortable with.
Can you tell us the other teams that Erik told you about, that Erik Neander told you about during that process?
I don't want to get on anyone's bad side or anything that way. I don't know if he would want me to share that or if the other teams would. I don't.
That's fine. No, I'm not going to press you, but I want to press you about one thing. You said how the Rays go. You don't even need to listen or read MLB trade rumors or anything like that. You knew where you were at in your contract. You knew how the Rays deal with guys at the end of their contracts. How does the end of the season go for you? Because it's really all you've known. You've only hit dingers for the Rays. Do you start well, you always have to pack your stuff up because you guys weren't going to be in Steinbrenner again, so that's a good thing. But is it a different end to the season when you guys made like a little mini run right at the end to try to make the playoffs, and then when it's over, was it a different kind of ending to the season than other years?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a very similar to the way that things ended in the previous year. We did make that little run, but it wasn't sustained enough for it to really get really interesting there down the stretch. So, I mean, we started playing some, you call it garbage time ball games there at the end. We were out of it and we were just kind of playing baseball at that point, which I'm not upset about, but it's just you knew that you weren't playing for the postseason, so those games are always not as much fun.
All right, you said you've used up all your words, so you can use up more of your words here. Well, I want to know what the Pirates talk to you about, because some people think it's just, oh man, they traded for Brandon Lowe. Okay, Brandon, you're on the team. See you in Bradenton in a few months. Like, what do they talk to you about? And are you kind of like, why did they call me to tell me this?
No, I mean it's all been extremely helpful stuff. I mean, I've talked with Sherrington, I've talked with DK, the manager, the hitting coaches. I just had a trainer reach out. The clubhouse guys. Everybody's trying to get in touch with you to, not only make their introductions, but try to get you settled in any way possible. Try to get any questions that you have answered, anything like that. So I mean, everything's been extremely helpful trying to get us ready, but it's nothing's going to be normal until you actually get there in person and start, building that relationship.
Hey, Brandon, I want to talk recruiting for a moment. This didn't have to happen because you were traded, but it has been reported that the Pirates might tap into one of the best pitchers on the planet, Paul Skeens, to make some phone calls to make the team better. Sounds like that makes a ton of sense to me, as long as the money can back it up for the free agent to want to be there and the fit, the whole deal. So first off, have you spoken to Paul at all yet? I'll go on that one first, and then I'll give you the next one here. But have you spoken to him? And at the very least, how excited are you to be teammates with him? He's pretty businesslike with how ridiculously good he's been so far in his first couple seasons.
Yeah, absolutely. I've not talked to Paul yet, but speaking on, being a teammate with him, I mean, it's probably the best pitcher in the big leagues right now. So it's a pretty good guy to have on your team. So I'm excited to kind of see the behind the scenes work of it all. Playing against him and seeing it on TV and stuff like that, you understand that, he's got electric stuff and he can throw it where he wants to, but being a baseball player and understanding the process of everything, you understand that stuff doesn't happen just overnight with no work. So I'm excited to see everything else that kind of goes on. See the hard work that he puts in. See what he does to truly get out there and be that dominant, and understand that he's not just waking up every fifth day and going out and throwing 7 shutty.
My next question on the recruiting front: do you have it in you to help the Pirates if they ask you for a phone call or two? I know you're new to the party, but you're one of the veteran bats here, and specifically it could be a phone call for a former teammate, like a potential high leverage, reliever out there, like someone that's name rhymes with Tearbanks, something like that, right? Just would you be able to make phone calls like that comfortably to help a team that is hopefully on the rise, hasn't seen much playoff success or really appearances in general in a while, and are trying to convince the fan base, like, hey, we're in this. We just brought in Brandon Lowe and we've got some money to spend on some other guys?
Yeah, I think that would be difficult for me to speak on the intricacies and everything that works within the Pirates organization and stuff. For me to try to call somebody that rhymes with that name and tell him that, the pitching staff is incredible and, the pitching coaches are great. Like, I can't speak on any of that. I've not been around it. I don't know what they're going to be talking about. So, I mean, I think Paul and probably Reynolds are your best guys to be out there. I'm, by all means, if somebody wants to talk to me and wants to hear my 2 cents on everything, I'll absolutely share it. But right now, I feel like that comes with a grain of salt. I've not truly been around it, but I've been welcomed in with open arms, and the fan base has been great so far, and I'm excited to see what it all takes in when we get up to Pittsburgh this year.
What do you know about Pittsburgh? What do you know about the fans? What do you know about, like, what have you thought about the stadium when you've come into the city to play? Because something people don't know is the Trop was not the most hitter-friendly place to hit, and yet you've hit a ton of dingers. People look at it and they go, oh, yeah, but he gets to play in Yankee Stadium. Like, when your home field is the Trop and you're left-handed, it actually squashes power. And you look at PNC Park, and they got that nice little Clemente wall for you. And I honestly believe right center is a joke because it's short and it's straight across. But what do you know about the fan base, the field, the things that you've liked or disliked when you've come in to play against the Pirates?
Yes, I mean I've played 3 games total in the stadium in my career, which is so I don't have much of a feel of a whole lot of things of it, but I mean it's one of the best stadiums in baseball. Like you go in there, the backdrop, the city, I mean it's gorgeous. The playing surface, everything about it's a really cool place to go play. So that in and of itself is really exciting. And then you know the city of Pittsburgh, you know the way they support the Steelers and just like the way that the fan base is. You know they're there. They're just waiting for the team to be good. And I think there's a real opportunity for them to make this team pretty good and get those fans out there and make that place really loud and rocking. And I'm excited to hit there. It seems like a very good spot for a left-handed hitter to go play.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
No, we're good. I'm sitting on a table right now.
Did one of the turkeys shoot back at you? Is that what happened and shot your phone?
Yeah, it's just getting really loud in here.
I love it. So do you know about I mean, I guess this is all new to the party, but do you know about one of the top prospects in baseball in Connor Griffin? I know it's been reported he might have a shot to crack the team out of spring training. I'm sure you'll get to know him, but you've had a lot of experience with young players coming through the Rays system. I mean, it's no secret that they churn out prospects and they often have to create a lot of turnover to open up a spot for someone else based on budget restrictions, stuff like that. So, how would you handle working with someone who could be one of the youngest players in Major League Baseball? And it's not just mentoring, which I know you've done really well with the Rays. This might be your double play partner.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if he's the guy at shortstop, I mean, it's first off to begin this whole. I've heard nothing but incredible things about who he is as a player and as an athlete. So, I mean, it's pretty exciting stuff when you hear, people that are very respected or that I hold very highly, the words that they say about certain players, and for them to speak so highly of Connor, I'm excited to see exactly what it looks like in person and on the field. And as for a guy being young in the big leagues or anything like that, I don't think that age is your defining factor. There are definitely multiple things that go into it. You don't get to this position in baseball and be a highly touted prospect the way that he is without an extreme work ethic and a drive to be one of the best players, in baseball. So that's really, all you really need to hear and really need to see out of a guy. You know that he's going to work his tail off to be good. And, as for anything that I can do, I could probably just answer questions for him. He's probably an extremely good hitter, an extremely good defender, and there's a reason he's the number one prospect in baseball. I'm just there to put up some guidelines for him, maybe.
That's all. That's all you can ask. My last question would be like, anything you want to say to the Tampa fans? You were there for a while. You had a good time there. I know you did, and you played well. So anything you want to let them know about?
Yeah, I mean, just from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys. I mean, it's never easy, going in somewhere, not knowing the city, not knowing the fan base or anything like that, but they made it very easy. They took me and my family in from the start, and we called it home, man. That was everything we knew, and we loved it. And I'll always be thankful to Tampa Bay and everything they've done.
All right, you have to pick because other shows are like, well, I can't pick. You got to pick. Who are you going to miss the most besides Chad Mottola, the hitting coach there? In Tampa, who are you going to miss the most? And then everyone else can shoot you a text and be like, are you serious, bro? You miss Yandy the most?
No, I mean there's so many of the guys that are going to miss. Honestly, I got to say the Rasmussens, and the family as a whole, man, that's the part that really makes this the most difficult is is understanding that my son and their son aren't going to be playing with each other every day. They everywhere that they went, man, it was like those two were attached to the hip. So that's the toughest part of this whole move is understanding that they're not going to see each other every day.
How hard is it on your wife? How hard? I mean, obviously your son is how old? Is he 3 now?
He's about to turn 3.
Okay. How hard is it on your wife? We rarely get into it because it's players, talking to players, but you mentioned it, so I have to ask. When that call came in, how hard was it? And who was the first text or phone call that she got from one of her friends?
Yeah, I mean, it's extremely tough. That's the hardest part, honestly, about the business is, it rips friendships away from you. And you can do whatever you want to keep that friendship going and talking with people and you know over phone and stuff like that, but when you're not with them every day for 7 months like you usually are, you tend to drift a little bit. So those are difficult because you make those relationships, you have those friends for the better half of 8 years. But I think the first phone call that she got was actually Blair Reynolds, who like called her and was like, "You're with the Pirates! Like I can't wait! I'm so excited!" So I think Blair actually broke the news to her because she didn't have her phone with her when I was texting her.
Wow, that's good. That's good. Hey, that's what happens. The speed game, Brandon. I mean, it's a thing. It comes out, it's fast, and then everybody knows about it. So I'm glad, man. I'm glad to see you end up in a spot that I think, has a lot of promise this coming season, depending on what they do the rest of the offseason. So we'll look forward to seeing you in spring training. But thanks for joining us, dude. And also enjoy the trip you're on and have a great holiday.
I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Brandon Lowe, Pittsburgh Pirates on FT. Hitting that futures market hard. BetMGM futures, Aaron Judge home run total. -105 gets you 51 homers or more. If you think he's going under 51 homers, it'll cost you $1.20 to win a hundo. Todd Father, where are you going?
Over and over and over. I think he's going to be in the 50s for a long time still. I think he's going to be 54, 55 range. So I will take that over all day, every day.
Same with you, Kratz?
Man,
you see, he got hurt and he still got over 50. The guy's an animal.
True.
So
I'm not touching it. I'm not touching it just because I saw other home run. I know we're not doing other home run people right now, but man, the guy we just had on today.
Scared. Pete's
at 37.5, and I love that number better. If I'm only getting -110, I'm taking the over with Pete. I'm not taking it with Judge just because right now I don't think that number is going to change. Right now, who's protecting him? And he has done a great job of being able to become a complete hitter. I'm afraid if they don't have somebody protecting him, that he's not able to get to that 50 mark. It's such a great number. It's such a great number. I think he's a 50 guy. But can I say I'm taking the over on that? No. Pete's going into a lineup right now that there is some protection, or he's protecting other people, whichever way you want to look at it. And I think his number is low enough that I'm taking that.
Wow, that's a low number in my mind. I mean, Pete's very durable, and I'm guessing that they also might still be looking at the ballpark, I guess. I mean, it's not Mount Waltmore anymore. It's not what it used to be, but it's kind of in between that. He's going to crush there. Also, I mean, Todd Father, you know this. It's tough to hit dingers in Queens. Not as tough as it used to be, right? No. But it's still tough to hit dingers in that park compared to many others. I think that's still at least top 10 pitcher's park, if not better. My guess would be it's like in the 7 or 8 range. I'd have to look. And I don't go completely off StatCast factors either, but I use it as a tool. I would say it's probably in the top 10 range, right, for pitchers?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I mean, Baltimore was like that a few years ago, and then they moved the walls again. I just think, man, new team. You know what I always think about, actually, Todd Father? The home run projections for Juan Soto when he was entering that free agent year with the Yankees, and the number was so freaking low. It was frustratingly low. And you're getting all these wild explanations about how his pop's going to play in the. It was trash. He destroyed the number.
I think it was 29 and a half. I'm almost positive it was 29 and a half. And they were like, and it was because they said, oh, well, he hits a lot of balls to left center. And that's the biggest part of Yankee Stadium. And I was like,
yeah.
It's just like I talked about with Willson Contreras earlier. There's some guys who are like, oh, I'll hit it over there. Or I'll hit it there. There's some guys that can do that. And Juan Soto was definitely one of those. And I think Pete is the only park that he can't hit it out of is Yosemite. So I don't, wall back, wall forward, whatever. I think people will be surprised in Camden Yards, and Pete might even be surprised once he gets there how many balls he's going to be able to flick over right field. Because right field can give you a lot. And when Pete's not going well, he tries to go to the opposite field. He tries to take the ball the other way. And then when he's hot, he's taking it everywhere.
I'm with you. Hey, there's no baseball right now. We miss it, although there's a lot of action going on. There is pro football action. BetMGM players, you can get an early holiday treat. It's a pro football same game parlay boost token. And you can use that token by stacking up a same game parlay wager made from bets on any pro football game. Drop it into your bet slip and give that token a merry little activation. Gambling problem or concern? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. And now we're ready to go with our next guest. Paul Sporer is joining us, writer, podcaster, Fangraphs, and a content designer for Out of the Park Baseball, which actually, real quick, we should mention right at the top here, Paul has an incredible winter sale going on. Many people see winter sales, Paul, but how about 80% off?
I think that'll work, baseball. Right? 80%. I mean, listen, I can guarantee that you'll get your money's worth on this, regardless of whether you like the game or not, because you can't do anything for $10 and get a night's entertainment. So even if you bought it for $10, played it one night, said, nah, it's not for me, I'm not smart enough for it. No, I'm just kidding. I shouldn't insult the wannabe fan base. But even if you didn't like it, $10, you're not going to a movie for that. You're not going to dinner for that. You can't do anything for $10. So I guarantee you at least get your money's worth on the $10 sale. It's a great game, especially if you like building a baseball team. It's a little bit different than MLB The Show. It scratches a different itch. But for baseball nerds that like it top to bottom from the GM's table all the way down to the batter's box there, I think that Out of the Park Baseball really, really can scratch your itch there, especially in the winter when we're dying for anything baseball related.
I'm with you, and that's the best in the biz, that kind of sell, 80% off. And I've loved playing the game for many years now. So help me do some construction work for front offices out there. What have you thought about the offseason so far? So maybe a favorite move. And then what are you looking forward to with a market that's still full of available names that are going to sign over the next month or so?
Yeah, I'm really eager to kind of see how the rest of the starting pitcher market develops with the two lefties at top right now, Framber Valdez, Ranger Suarez. I've always been someone who's been huge on Valdez. He's coming off of a rough time to be a free agent, had a tough second half, had the issue, maybe throwing at his young catcher there that we all saw. And I think two-man didn't really like there. How much will that affect him? I don't know. How much should it? I don't know. And then you get to the point where is his volume going to be used against him? We talk so much about guys who don't throw innings. This guy does. Guarantee you some teams are going to flip it on him though and say, well, now you're damaged goods. You have too many innings on you. So guys can't win these days. Suarez is the other way, right? Maybe he doesn't pitch as much, Ranger Suarez. We haven't seen him put on the workload. Apparently he's asking for 7 years. We'll see if he gets that. But I'm really interested to see with two guys, neither of whom are true, bona fide, unquestioned aces. They're the last two guys standing, though. And when there's a lot of money to go around, maybe they end up getting huge contracts. So I'm really eager from that standpoint. As far as a move I really like Toronto going out and kind of doubling down on their huge season. And that includes getting Dylan Cease. This guy's remarkably talented. He is one where like the nerd stats versus kind of your surface stats can sometimes disagree and show some issues with him. But his talent is always evident. And when you can miss bats the way he can consistently, even with some of the ups and downs that he does have, Dylan Cease is still a super talent. I totally understand why they went out and paid for him. Whenever you're doing a 7-year deal, you're not going to get 7 great years. But if they get 3 good ones, including one maybe next year while they're still in this very much competitive window, I think they'll be fine with it. So I like that move, and it showed that Toronto was very serious about staying in contention.
We talked about Suarez and Valdez, but Tatsuya Amai might be better than the two of them.
Absolutely.
Are teams fearful of that, or are they less fearful because of what Yoshinobu Yamamoto has done in his short stint so far in the big leagues?
I think the more certain teams see players from overseas work, the more confident they get. But it's organization to organization. There are organizations that have a lot of experience with it, and they go in not nervous at all. They confidently buy from the KBO and from the Japanese league without any issue. There are other teams that are still cautious and still worry about landing a dud. The thing of it is, though, is a lot of these guys come over. Even the expensive ones come over at a pretty good market rate. Now, Yamamoto is an exception, right? He still came over. He got all the money that, was basically on promise and then delivered on that promise. But a lot of guys come over at a pretty decent discount, usually because they're a little bit older. Tatsuya Imai is a guy who could be another great stud. Maybe not to the level of Yamamoto, but I think he's better than Imanaga, to use another guy who's come over recently and had some pretty good seasons with the Cubs. Has a home run issue that I think will continue to plague him as he spends more time in the States. But I do think Imai has a chance to be better than both Suarez and Valdez. And I wonder how the dominoes are going to fall there. I actually don't remember what Imai's posting window is, where, depending on where those three go, maybe jumping out first and getting Imai could be the discount. And then all the money still left on Suarez and Valdez might make them a little bit overvalued. I am most nervous, I think, about Suarez specifically. Like I said, I believe in Valdez as at least a workhorse stud, if not a true ace.
Paul, can we go to the top pitcher list that you are going to be releasing later this week? Because the best part about lists are people are going to poke holes at it. They're going to be like, well, what would you do? And there's explanations that you need. The first one being, if you're a Pirates fan, what the heck? Tarek Skubal's better than Paul Skeens? How can you even say that? And then you just move on from there.
Should I block my Detroit hat here while I'm on? Am I showing my bias too much?
There we go.
I am a Tigers fan, and I always make that bias very clear. We all have biases, folks. Nobody's unbiased. Anyone telling you they're unbiased, they're lying. You have inherent biases there. But listen, I think I'm almost harder on the Tigers to make sure that I'm not going too light with them and boosting up the guys on my favorite team. But anytime you're going for the two-time Cy Young, I think you're in pretty good standing to put him number one. I really do think it's a Skeen Skubal 1-2. Take them how you want them. I think the Tigers are a bit better club. And when it comes to fantasy, we do care about the win potential, even though that is something that's maybe a little bit out of the player's control. So it's not necessarily against Skeens, that it's not his fault he's on the Pirates. But when you're coming into fantasy, you got to pile up wins. And I do think Skubal has the edge there, being on the Tigers, who are at least in a competitive window right now. Pirates are trying to get there, though, and I did like that three-way deal they did.
I'm so glad you brought up fantasy, because now I'm going to go straight to your number 8, who finished second in the Cy Young, in Christopher Sanchez. Are you playoff biased by putting Yoshinobu Yamamoto so high up on this list, or do you feel like he's going to have a much better year and give you more fantasy points?
I don't think I'm playoff biased, and I will say this only because I was making the case for Yamamoto as the bankable 4. The fantasy world at the end of the season said Skubal, Skeens, Crochet are the top 3. Take them how you want them. That's the lock. That was the consensus. The door was open for 4, according to a lot of analysts. I said at the very beginning of the playoffs, no. Yamamoto is the clear 4, and then you can go from 5 on. So I was kind of planting my flag a little early. Now, admittedly, we all knew he was good. I didn't think he was going to be as amazing as he was in the playoffs, but I was ready to be on Yamamoto as a top 5 bankable guy right away. The playoffs certainly helped. And again, on the best team in baseball. Now, part of that is actually a little bit of a detractor in fantasy because of the way they manage their pitchers, because they're always working toward October. They don't care about your fantasy wins. They don't care about your fantasy innings. And I understand that, right? I'm not one of these dweebs that's going to go yell at a manager on Twitter or anything like that. But you have to be mindful of that. And I do think that maybe discounts Dodgers a little bit. I think Yamamoto's a bit of an exception, though. I think they're paying all this money for him to be a true ace, to be there all throughout the regular season and the playoffs as well. So I think he's somebody you can bank on for 30-plus starts of high-quality work. I think he is the number 4, maybe even the number 3. I wanted to put him up above Crochet. Push come to shove, though, I still kept Crochet at 3.
All right. Well, part of fantasy can kind of go over into a little bit of a line setting and Cy Young. When you're looking at Cy Young picks at the beginning of the year, or your sleeper fantasy pick, to me, I go down into your 10, 11, and 14 range, where you have
Love where you're at
you
there.
have Cole Reagans, Brian Wu, and George Kirby. Are there any other picks for you that could be a Cy Young type of year this year, just based on how things kind of went last year and how they could trend or they could continue to trend up for next year?
Yeah. If we had talked this time last year or sometime in the spring, I'd have been killing this team for their pitching or lack thereof. And all of a sudden, a year later, the Baltimore Orioles, I think, have two sneaky candidates in both Kyle Bradish and Trevor Rogers. Been really pleased with their offseason. I was kind of wondering where this was last year because we know they got the checkbook was open for Elias and they didn't really go out and get anybody. Maybe he just didn't like the market. He didn't go for Burns. Obviously, that blew up in Arizona. Pitchers get hurt. That just happens. I don't think they knew he was going to get hurt or anything. But I was like, what are they doing with their pitching? Well, Rogers blew up for them and looks like a stud. Bradish came back. And I think both of those guys could be in contention, especially if this is a team that is playing to their max. I heard you guys talking about Alonso before I came on. I totally agree that he could surprise some folks in that park. He has everywhere power. And I'm not even so sure about the Yosemite part there where you said he couldn't hit it out of there. I think we need to test that theory because maybe the polar bear could. But I really, really like what Baltimore's doing here. I like Bradish. I like Rogers. I think both of them could be sneaky AL guys, in addition to the guys you mentioned, Reagans, Wu, Kirby. The thing of it is, you never go for a favorite in a Cy Young or MVP type bet. That just burn your money at that point. That's so boring. It's lame. There's no sense in doing it. You're trying to look for the guy who's really going to rise up. And I think those five, Reagans, Kirby, Wu, the three that you mentioned, and then Bradish and Trevor Rogers, both for the Orioles. I think those are five really interesting candidates that could be in that Cy Young talk all year next year.
I'm going to argue this one because of the fact that that's what we do with lists. We argue about them. Not necessarily that, this is who's next to each other, but Freddie Peralta, I feel like, should be higher on this list. Chris Sale has him by one stitch. I think you had Sale at 16, Freddie P at 17. Mm-hmm. I felt like the moves Freddie made last year moved him up into the top 10 range. Do you have a reason why you kept him out of the top 10?
I think because we still haven't – I try not to judge guys too harshly on not having huge volume because that's not the game we're in anymore. So I don't really bag guys that too much. But when it comes to my top 10, I want to have seen a 200-inning season. And I know that is becoming increasingly rare, and he's really been more of that 175 type. I will say this, and not to take myself off the hook. I appreciate the pushback here on Peralta, but I am a little bit higher than the industry right now on him. So I am on the Peralta train, but maybe I move him up a little bit higher because I'm a per innings guy. We can't predict health, and we cannot predict the guys that are going to, stay healthy all year for 32 plus starts. Those few guys each year that can do that. So give me the most talented guys. That's why I have somebody like Blake Snell ranked 12th. I understand that he has 80 innings the last 3 years in the regular season, but he's so good when he pitches. Peralta's a case like that. So I really do think you can make a strong case to move him up right there with Reagans, Wu, and Snell in that 10, 11, 12 range. And I will take that under advisement before these go out later this week.
I love that, Paul. I love that. I love the energy and the analysis there. And then I'm excited to get the feedback. It's always super kind and just full of appreciation from everybody that reads it. But really, you look inside and hey, at least they read it and there's interest there despite what they say. It's good debate. On our way out, I just want to reiterate this too. You love playing out of the park baseball. So do I. Again, just to remind everyone, 80% off running right now. There it is, plus a perfect points sale. It is $9.99, as Paul said, for at least one night, but for many people, many, many nights of entertainment. So, Paul, can you just tell us either your favorite part of OOTP 26? Because they update each year pretty significantly. That's why some people are like, well, I have 25. No, you got to get 26. So can you tell us one of your favorite parts of why you play? I know for me, I always wanted to do the GM, be like a GM, but obviously not actually be a GM. And also I wanted it to be so realistic that things pop up that really do happen, even though they seem crazy. And you know what I'm talking about. Every scenario you could ever think of pops up in OOTP, which is just like real life. Hey, your player got caught in a betting scandal, or hey, like everything happens, and that's how real life is.
It is. I mean, I had Vlad Jr. leave for the NBA one year in a sim, in an OTP 24 sim. He left to become a point guard in the NBA. It was pretty hilarious, except for the fact that I lost Vlad Jr. It was not that funny to me. But yeah, they've got everything. That's the base game where you can take a team over. You can go back in history if you want. You can go from today forward. But I also focus heavily on the perfect team aspect, which is similar to Diamond Dynasty, if you're familiar with MLB The Show, where you collect cards based on historical players, put your team together, and go against other people. This year, the expansive content that we've had with the art team, bringing in more and more licensing, so we've got actual pictures of guys, has really been at our best level yet. So every year we're trying to improve that and leverage the licenses that we have so that we can show more and more player faces and just kind of create more flair for the cards. Because the aesthetic value, like, it's cool to show off that you got the cool looking card too, right? That it's great that he plays well and he simulates well and he's helping you win tournaments and league, but it's also neat that it looks cool because we like things that look cool in video games. So I've been really, really impressed with how well our art team has done this year. Our tournament suite, like what we offer for you to be able to do in the perfect team game, is just so expansive. So whether you're new to OTP or you've been playing the base game and want to come over to Perfect Team, there's so much to do. It's a lot of fun. The Discord, all the people on Twitch, great community too that's always willing to help newcomers because it is a lot to take on. It's a deep, rich game of baseball nerddom, but the people, once you get in and start meeting the community, so many people willing to help you because we want the friendly competition of it all. It's not like, oh, I don't want to make somebody better because they might beat me. It's like, hey, we want everyone to be good because it's fun to have in a competitive environment in Perfect Team.
Yeah, it's probably the friendliest environment out there, community out there in like the baseball space, right? Like just super supportive. Yeah, it's a great community. I mean, I'm not like
always
fully in it,
the mods.
But yeah,
like the way they build up, like for the base game, like the mods that they do for stadiums and rosters and face gen, like some like aftermarket stuff basically is what we're talking here. People that create faces for the entire Negro Leagues or the entire MLB history that you can load in and play with. So there's so much great stuff. I couldn't even do an hour with y'all to get in everything. That wouldn't even be enough time. That's how rich the game is. But $10, you will not regret it because again, you'll at least get one solid night out of it, and that's worth $10 any day.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, my thing was, I'm not in it on an everyday basis like you are, but when I do jump in it on certain special occasions, you feel like you're part of the group, which I love. And it's hard to do that. Most groups will be like, who are you? You're just stopping by here, a few times a year to do some type of, live Twitch sim or something like that. But it's been awesome. So I just wanted to shout out the community there. Paul, you're the best.
I'm glad that we keep it, inviting y'all in. And we love that y'all have had me on to talk about the game a few times too. I really do appreciate that, guys.
Thank you. Anytime, man. We'll do it again next year. Okay. So have a great holiday. Happy New Year to you. And good luck when your list comes out. We'll be looking at the article and the comments.
Thanks, gentlemen. Take care.
Thank you. You too. See you, Paul. All right, let's slap. Kratz Hatz, what do you have?
Maybe just a little reminder that the offseason's going. Like teams are picking guys up, but I think the Yankees do it backwards from other teams. They get the little pieces to fill in, and then they go get the star. So I think they're still going to be there, but got to make sure everyone over in Yankee land is not going to Christmas too early.
Hey, actually, that leads me to my last point here during Slap. We have our last live show of the year coming up tomorrow, which is Tuesday. And then we have a lot prepared for you over the days of podcast and YouTube clips that you'll enjoy. Give a much needed rest to everybody that works every day all year round. But we will have Ken Rosenthal on our last show of 2025. Kevin Pillar is hosting with myself and with Kratz. One more I'll give you for now on the guest list for tomorrow is a former Yankee who can smash left-handed pitching, and he's going to be back in the big leagues this coming season. The Chicago Cubs signed Tyler Austin, and we didn't really go over the signing at the time, so instead we're just bringing the player on to go over his return from Japan and how he starred out there. Why are you throwing your hands up?
I've texted him so many times, and he's going to come on, and I didn't even know this. TA all the way!
Oh, crap, I messed up. Now he's not coming on right now. No, he can't make it. Oops.
Oh, I was going to say, what happened to Joe Kelly?
Unconfirmed.
Is Joe Kelly coming on instead?
We'll bring on the other side of the battle, but we'll try and get Tyler in early January. Hey, it's coming in hot as I talk. Sometimes I make stuff up, but tomorrow I try not to. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow.
Deal.